Welcome to the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and we got a lot to unpack on today's program. We're going to get you guys the latest around Jordan Addison following his arrest DUI situation, as it is incredibly disappointing news coming in from number 3. But then also, let's just say a suspension or a trade is looming for Jordan Addison. Could the Vikings bring back hometown legend Adam Thielen? We'll be breaking that all down on today's show. But first, I want to ask you guys this question. As you know, the Vikings offseason, it started off hot. Getting rid of Kirk Cousins, moving up in the draft to get J.J. McCarthy, get Dallas Turner. I felt great about it. But then after the last couple of weeks, following the tragic passing of Kyrie Jackson and now the situation with Jordan Addison, I'm just curious. How do you guys feel about the Vikings offseason? Let me know your thoughts down below. I want to make this point very clear before we dive into the latest around Addison. I am just incredibly disappointed in him following the tragic events that occurred last week to Kyrie Jackson. I just think he showed a lack of self-awareness and just a lack of, understanding what is going on in this locker room. And I am sure some of his teammates are looking at him a little side-eyed, wondering what even caused him to put himself in that situation where he could potentially be behind the wheel under the influence. So first off, just want to say incredibly disappointing stuff from Jordan Addison here. I have always said I don't want to, view somebody or have my perception be of them from their, lowest moment, but this is the second time Addison has gotten in trouble with law enforcement in his short career so far in the NFL. So I just want to make that point clear here first. But let's kick it to California Highway Patrol. This was their statement they released on Addison when they were pulling up to his vehicle. They said, upon arrival, they found a white Rolls-Royce that was blocking the freeway's number 1 lane with the driver, Jordan Addison, asleep behind the wheel. After a DUI investigation was completed, the driver was arrested on suspicion of driving under the influence. And then following that, today, I was checking out Jordan Addison's Instagram. He deleted all posts of him rocking Minnesota Vikings gear. Actually, that 4th post right there, he is wearing or he does have a Vikings blanket across his shoulder, so he still has that. But he deleted multiple posts of him rocking some Vikings gear. So I'm not sure what's going on in his own mind right now. He also deleted his Twitter or X account, so that was a little sketchy there from Addison. And it gets me to this: I wouldn't be shocked if Jordan Addison gets traded before the season starts. If this was just a single occurrence, if we didn't have the Kyrie Jackson, passing about a week and a half ago, and if he didn't get in trouble last offseason for driving 156 miles an hour, I could see the Vikings just, treating this, not as extreme as they would now. But now if you're the Minnesota Vikings, I could see them hitting the trade market or potentially suspending him for half the season. This is what actually the Vikings had to say on the Addison situation. This broke yesterday. They said, we are aware of Jordan Addison's arrest this past Friday and are currently gathering more information regarding the incident. Now, I am very curious to see how this plays out. I don't know if the NFL is going to step in and suspend Addison, as I could see that being the case after, the Kyrie Jackson situation. That plays a big impact on how they're going to view Addison, getting this DUI on Friday. Now, this is me having a very optimistic view of this situation. He was at LAX, and he was exiting the airport. I don't know if it was a situation where maybe he was getting off a plane and he was drinking on the plane, then he thought he was good enough to drive, and then he decided, I'm going to pull over, and then he fell asleep behind the wheel. That is me taking the best-case scenario outlook on this situation, but I'm just overall curious to see how this is going to play out. And then, also, this is not the first time Addison has gotten in trouble behind the wheel. Dean Fiorezzi, he does work for USC and The Athletic, and he wrote this up saying, Addison was also cited for speed and reckless driving almost a year ago to the date when he was pulled over on July 20th, 2023 in Minnesota. State authorities at the time said he was driving his Lamborghini Urus 140 miles per hour in a 55 mile per hour zone. And, there's no doubt this is just awful for Addison, considering everything that's going down. And, it's where the Vikings are at right now as a franchise. You had so much positivity heading into the season before the recent incidences, and now you're just looking around saying, what the hell is happening? So, clearly poor judgment on Addison. I'm not going to, bash him, too much, but this is just disappointing. It's just, it just probably hurts a lot of his teammates in that locker room. It probably just hurts even members of Kyrie Jackson's family just seeing this news, like, literally a week later. Like, that is what's so, disappointing about this situation. But, hey, you guys let me know. I'll toss this question your guys' way. Should the Vikings suspend Addison? Give me a Y for yes or an N for no down in the comment section. I think the Vikings should. I think this is unacceptable. And also, we'll make this quick note. Can the Vikings just set up, I'm sure they already do have this set up, just set up a Team Uber account. Put it on the Vikings company card or whatever it may be. There are ways around this to have this never happen again. But, obviously, Addison made a poor decision this past weekend. But coming up next on the program, I do want to talk about potentially trading for Adam Thielen, as I think the Carolina Panthers could be looking to move the veteran wide receiver, and why not bring him home, as there may be a more dire need at wide receiver than any of us would have imagined. But before we dive into that, guys, I want to tell you about the sweet deal we have going on right now, where you guys can get your J.J. McCarthy jerseys today. Hit this link, chatsports.com/Vikings jersey. I got mine all white. Can't wait to rock it during the watch parties this season. So if you guys want to as well, chatsports.com/Vikings jersey. Link for that in the comments and description of today's show. Let's just take a look here at the Vikings wide receiver room as it shakes out right now. Let's just say Addison gets suspended. This room is looking a whole lot different. You have the top dog in the entire league, Justin Jefferson. But besides that, Brandon Powell, Trent Sherfield, Jalen Nailor, are those three going to be duking it out for wide receiver 2 and wide receiver 3? I mean, this is now becoming a dire need for the Vikings. Like, now I think you are looking at the trade market. You're looking at free agency, where I was originally in the camp saying I don't want the Vikings to bring in, Michael Thomas, Hunter Renfrow. We heard those names connected to Minnesota. But now I'm all in on it, because let's just say you do trade Addison or you do suspend him for half the season. Are you going to roll out with your top 3 wide receivers being Jefferson, Powell, and Jalen Nailor, with have it be, Sam Darnold or J.J. McCarthy at quarterback? You're setting yourself up for failure in that. And also this, Thielen and J.J. McCarthy, they were seen working out a couple weeks ago. The workout clip went viral. Thielen actually posted it on his Instagram. And then the next day they were working out. Guys like C.J. Ham, Brandon Powell were getting involved. So, maybe Thielen was kind of sending a message to the Vikings front office, like, come save me from Carolina, bring me back home. I'll be your wide receiver 3. I'll be your, maybe your wide receiver 2 now. But I thought it was pretty cool. Also, Thielen was talking about J.J. McCarthy after the workout on an interview, and this is what he had to say. He said he's got all the tools, that's for sure. He can sling it, and he's super accurate. We were wearing shorts and T-shirts out there, but you can still see a lot, just from accuracy, timing, and those kinds of things when you're running routes on air. He's a great kid. You don't really realize that he's 21 years old. And when you're talking to him and when you're hanging around him, he's got that maturity about him that you can tell goes beyond his age. And that's the number one step as a quarterback, right? To have that maturity level, have that kind of poise or kind of that aura around you that just feels different. And he's just a good person. So I've really enjoyed being around him for the little time that I've been able to be around him. Now, shockingly enough, Thielen was a 100-plus reception guy and a 1,000-plus receiver guy for Carolina. Pretty joke of a team this past season. Found the end zone 4 times, and he was still pretty good. And those years before with the Minnesota Vikings, he was a touchdown machine. Really saw him turn into a red zone threat, even though the yards, weren't up there, to his standard, the years before that. But listen, Thielen still has juice. Thielen can still be a fantastic wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3 option. And I will say it would be pretty cool to see Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen be back as that 1-2 punch at the wide receiver combo for the Minnesota Vikings. But, ideally, I would love to bring in Thielen as the wide receiver 3, as he is older, as he's going to be turning 35 years old this upcoming season. So I would hope Thielen, if the Vikings do trade for him, maybe it's a 6th or a 5th round pick, and then hopefully this Addison situation gets resolved and he is the wide receiver 3. That's just my dream scenario for that. But why would the Panthers move off him? Well, I actually forgot about this move this offseason when I was looking up the Panthers wide receiver room. They got Deontay Johnson, drafted Xavier Legette, and drafted Jonathan Mingo last year. So they have 3 young wide receivers that they want to build around. Now, do they want to keep Thielen in that locker room just to be that mentor to help these guys with the day in, days out of the NFL? Maybe, but let's just say the Vikings throw him a 5th, conditional for next year, which we do have, maybe like a future 6. I could see that getting the deal done with the Carolina Panthers. But you guys let me know. Would you trade for Adam Thielen? What say you here? Give me a T for trade or a P for pass. If I was watching this video, I would 100% be typing my T for trades, as a wide receiver is now becoming a massive need for the Minnesota Vikings. Who would have thought we would have been saying that? If I would have told you on July 15th that wide receiver is going to be a big need for the Vikes, you guys would have been looking at me crazy, but hey, that's the situation we have been handed so far. But make sure you guys do give me a follow on Twitter. That's a handle right there, at Pat Sieps, and I'll give you guys a follow back. But thank you guys so much for watching today's show. See you guys next time. Let's go Vikes.